What's up, guys? Today we're going to be comparing two different Jeeps. 1995 YJ right here, Coworker's Jeep, 4-cylinder, compared to my 1990 YJ, 4-cylinder. Mine's obviously going to be built for adventure slash crawling slash off-road, whatever you want to call it. This has some good off-road things on it, but it's going to be more of a daily driver. So let's get started on the differences. We'll walk you all through. Let's go. All right, guys. Biggest difference out of the whole thing. This Jeep has a hard top. Mine does not. If you guys can find a Jeep for sale that has a hard top, that's gonna be worth its weight in gold, really, because if you're trying to buy a hard top private party, one, they're hard to find, at least where I'm from. Two, they're about the same price if you just buy a fixer-upper Jeep. So if you can find one with the hard top, you don't really want it, you can make a lot of money off that. Or set it aside, and when you really end up realizing, hey, it's a lot better than a soft top, you have it. So next thing, this is on 31-inch general grabbers. My Jeep's on 35, so it's going to make a huge difference for roadworthiness as well as being capable off-road. I have mud terrains. These are all terrains. Another big difference there: noise, ride quality, grip, depending on the situations you're in, so on and so forth. So that's going to be a big difference what you're wanting to do with your Jeep. Next thing on a daily driver you want, it's going to be some seats. So these are Corbeau bucket seats. This is the daily driver Jeep, of course. Obviously aftermarket, these never came with Corbeaus from the factory, at least that I'm aware of. These are actually really nice for a daily driver. You just gotta kind of be careful on what seats you get. These have some big bolsters on the side. As you can tell, I don't have small hands. So it's kind of hard to get in and out of. Very comfortable though, driving. I need to get a pair of bucket seats for mine. I don't have them. Good steering wheel. My steering wheel is much larger. I actually really like this steering wheel. I'm gonna have to invest in one. I still have the stock steering wheel. She has a good center console in her Jeep. I have no center console. I'm gonna build one. But these are all things you wanna look at for a daily driver. If the seats are gonna be good enough for you, how comfy they are, if you can deal with getting in and out with these real tall bolsters. If it's worth it for you, cool. When you're in them, very comfy. Another thing you're gonna notice on the daily driver Jeep, it has some rock sliders slash running boards. These seem decently strong. Obviously, if you hit a rock real hard, it's gonna dent them. They appear to be very thin-walled, but they look good. They're really nice. They definitely help to put your feet up on here and get in, especially with those tall bolstered seats. These are bolted directly to the frame. These are just a bolt-on add-on you can get from most websites that sell Jeep parts. If you're going to use them for more of like a rock crawling adventure purpose, I would suggest welding them to your frame if it's a dedicated off-road Jeep. Not that bolts are bad, but the weld's going to be a lot stronger, in my opinion. I might get some comments saying, no, you're totally wrong, but that's how I feel. So again, these don't really hurt a daily driver. They make it look good, as well as increase some functionality. All right, guys, if you notice, we have the stock Fender Flares on the daily driver Jeep. These are great. They're functional. I deleted mine because I like to off-road with big tires. Anyway, this has a 2.5-inch rough country lift via leaf springs, some sway bar disconnects. Don't know the brand of those. Obviously shocks, extended steel brake lines for the lift. Aftermarket front and rear bumpers. I don't know what brand they are, but adds some functionality as well as looks much better than the stock one. So these are some greasable shackles. All in all, this thing isn't stock by any means. It definitely has some work done to it, but just enough to where it's still pretty decent on the road. Nice quiet ride, no crazy exhaust on it. This thing looks pretty decent, performs pretty good. So that's really the big difference between this Jeep and my Jeep as far as functionality goes. We'll get into it a little bit. We're going to do a little bit of work for her and do some much needed maintenance. Some things to note in this engine compartment. Nice battery. Always need your daily driver to start. We have an aluminum radiator with an electric fan. Works good, comes on when it's supposed to. I'm not huge on electric fans, but being a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder does reduce a little bit of drag switching from mechanical to electrical, so that's something to think about when you're driving these underpowered Jeeps. What we're going to start off here today, it's still hot. I'm going to check the coolant, do all that stuff, but this brake fluid is extremely dirty. That's something she wanted done, so I will go through and completely get all this nasty brake fluid out, maybe even go through and bleed all the lines as well. But at least for the reservoir, I'm going to add some new coolant in there and get all that old stuff out. Okay guys, so I didn't video, but I took a transfer pump, pumped out all the old brake fluid, put some new brake fluid in it. And this Jeep did not have the stock jack. I had one sitting, wasn't using it because I have the fenders and there's no spot for it. So, plus I'm gonna do a bottle jack, whole cool design, that'll be later. So this is now belonging to this Jeep, fits good. All the bolts are in it. Moving on to the next thing. All right guys, test driving this 95 Jeep YJ. Again, this is a 4-cylinder, just like mine is. Obviously a little newer, maybe has some different updates compared to the 1990 engine that I have in mind. Right off the bat, I can tell that it's definitely a little smoother. Mine has some driveline vibrations right now. Still working those out. But other than that, even though mine has 35s, this still feels like it has about the same acceleration. And I haven't done, like, I have different intake on mine, but should be the same gearing. I haven't even looked under this yet. All in all though, this is a pretty comfy ride for a daily driver. It's not loud like mine is. That's an exhaust thing. Without a doubt, mine would perform better off-road. So it really just depends what you're doing with your Jeep more often than not. Mine's not a daily driver, this one is. So there's some things to think about there when you're building your Jeep. All right guys, right off the bat, back in my Jeep, driving this thing. Again, I feel every Jeep's a little different, right? Every car is different. I feel much better, much more comfortable driving this, obviously. Clutch feels a little bit different. It's my power that I know how it works. The bigger tires make the road bumps a little nicer, even though my suspension tends to be a little more stiff for those big off-road bumps. It has about the same amount of body roll, even though that Jeep has a hard top on it. That suspension's a little bit softer for that. So as far as me being taller, higher in the air, that's probably where that difference in body roll comes through. But yeah, so right now I'm on the way to O'Reilly's. I'm gonna grab some stuff for that Jeep, some much needed maintenance, and we'll continue maintenance on that.